Hey everyone, my name is Mark and welcome to my fish cave. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I built a DIY Sphagnum Moss water filter to soften my water and lower my pH in the South American dwarf cichlid fish room that I'm planning on building. If you learned anything, if you enjoyed the video, or even if you didn't, just like everyone else says, please subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification button. It'll help me out a lot. Let's get on to the build. Alright, so this is what we're going to need to get started on our project. The first thing you're going to need is two 5-gallon buckets. I get these at Lowe's. I get the food grade buckets, not necessary, but you know, just to be safe I get them. My local Lowe's always has them. You get two of those, you need two lids also. It's like $4 for the buckets, it's like $2 or $3 for the lids, so $15 you got out of Lowe's. That's not bad. The next thing you're going to need, probably the thing that makes this work, is you're going to need ceramic dome water filters or filter. You can get by with one, but it's going to take you half a day just to make a couple gallons of water. So you can make it with 1, 2, 3, or 4 of these, depending on how fast you're, how much of a hurry you're in, how many tanks you have, and all that kind of situation. Again, search these on Lowe's and eBay. Probably search for a ceramic dome water filter, probably about $7 or $8 a piece for them. Next, now this isn't necessary, but I like to use this, and I'll show you at the end what I do with it. You're probably going to want a metal mesh coffee filter. You know, I have a polishing pad and some filter floss in there, and we'll get to that at the end of the video. You're going to need knee highs, comfort top, that's my favorite. You're going to need this. The next one is however many ceramic dome filters you have, you're going to want the same amount of these. This is an empty refillable media cartridge, 10-inch standard size. This is what I like to use. You can try to use something else, but whatever you do, make sure you get one that has a screw-on lid. That's going to be important later on in the build. So you need 4 of these if you're using 4 filters, 2 if you're using 2 filters, and that's next. Next thing you're going to need an electric drill. You're going to need a couple of bits for the electric drill. You're going to need a 5/8 bit, and you're going to need either a 3/4 or a 13/16. 3/4, it goes for this, and you might have to like screw this in. It's a little bit better if you get a 13/16. This way it just slides in, and you can tighten it up with the nut. It's just easier all around if you can get a 13/16. But a 3/4 will work. You're going to need a pair of scissors. You are going to need a utility knife. You're going to need a Sharpie, a pencil, you're going to need a tape measure, zip ties, nylon zip ties, almost as good as duct tape. You're going to need a carpenter's square. You're going to need filter media, some kind of, like right in here I have a medium sponge, I have fine sponge, and I have some filter floss. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do it yet because I'm making a little bit of changes to how I had it done before. But we'll figure that out as we go. Okay, so let's get started. Before we get going, I'm just going to tell you I already have mine built, and I'm just upgrading. So I'll just walk you step by step on what you need to do and how I do things. You start off, start from the bottom and work up. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to need to drill a hole in the bottom of the bottom bucket. This is where your water cooler spigot's going to go. And you want to make sure, this has a nut on one end, you want to make sure that you leave it enough room for this nut on the back side. But you also want to leave it so it's close to the bottom as you can, because the higher up it is, you're going to leave a little puddle on the bottom and it's not going to completely drain. So I left mine about an inch up, 3/4 of an inch up, something like that. And it's pretty simple. You want to take your cooler spigot. It comes with two washers. You want to leave one washer on the outside. Put it through your hole. Put your washer in your nut, your other washer, your rubber washer, a nut on the other side, gasket maybe, and you just screw this in. It's just snug. You don't want to. It's plastic. You don't want to. You don't want to strip them. I mean, you can strip these, and you can strip these also. So you just want them to get snug, but you don't want to, manhandle it. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be ham-handed with this. So there's your bottom bucket. Simple. That's finished. The bottom bucket. So we put that aside, and the next thing we're going to look at is this. Is the bucket that sits on top, and this is the cover to the bottom bucket. Okay, so first thing we need to do is, if you're doing a single bucket or a single filter, all you need is one hole in the middle, and that's simple, and you're done. All right, but if you're going to do multiple filters, like you can see, I have this one set up for 2 filters right now. And what I'm doing is I'm upgrading. I'm adding 2 more filters because it's slow. But in order for it to work good, it needs to be slow. So if I'm going to upgrade to 2 more filters. So you can see what I did here. I used these 2 lines to draw a line straight across the bottom of the bucket. And then I used a square, and I squared it off to draw another one. So I have 2 lines, perfect X, right in the middle of the bottom of the bucket. So what you're going to want to do is you got to have these spaced right so there's room for all of them inside the bucket, right? So I measured it at one point. So you want to measure, from the middle to the edge. It's about 2 inches. So I think I went 2 1/4 inches in, and that worked out really good for me with the first 2. So I'm gonna do the same right now. I'm gonna take my Sharpie, and I'm gonna measure straight down these 2 lines, 2 1/4 inches. Mark it right on the line. Do the same thing on the other side, 2 1/4 inches. Right there. Alright, so your next step is you're going to want to take your drill, and you're going to want to drill a 5/8 hole in the bucket. Alright, so you can see where I marked to drill the hole here and here, and that's going to give me space. That should give me space for 4 dome filters inside the bucket. So let's get those holes drilled. Get the second one done. Okay. Now, unfortunately, I did not have a 5/8 drill. I only had a half inch bit. I do have a step drill, and what I'll do is I will go and just make it 1 inch larger with the drill. Now we have our 4 5/8 inch holes in the bottom of the top bucket. Now, on the lid of the bottom bucket, you're going to need matching holes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the holes I already had drilled. You're probably not going to have to do that because you're going to be drilling new holes. Just make sure you keep the bucket and lid lined up so you don't move it around. Make sure everything stays aligned. I'm going to take my Sharpie and I'm going to make marks. Now it's a black Sharpie and a black lid. Hopefully I'll still be able to see where the holes are. See, here's my new holes. I have one here and one here. So here we go. Now we have 4 holes in the lid, 4 holes in the bucket, and hopefully these are all going to line up for us. So I'm going to take my ceramic domes. You want to line, just push them through the holes. Your rubber gasket, if you only have one, should be on the inside of the bucket. And again, just snug because these are plastic and they can strip. Here's the other one. Like I said, make sure you leave the rubber gasket on the inside if you only have one. Some of them have 2 and you can have one inside, one outside. Some of them only come with 1 gasket. So let's get the other gasket in. Go directly across from that one. Now so you make sure you have 2 ceramic domes inside the top bucket. And the reason this is important is because these ceramic domes, they're like really, really fine, and water goes through them really slow. And if you want to, you really want the water to go over the sphagnum moss really slowly. The faster it drips through, so a slow drip going through the sphagnum moss is going to soften your water. If you just rush it right through, it's not going to do anything for you. So let's get this next one in. So let me find where it is. Here's the next one. This one came with 2 gaskets. So I'm gonna put both of them to use. You can see this one came with it. It probably also has 2 gaskets. Let's get that one in. And I'll show you how they line up on the cover. Alright. So the last one. Last one in there. I have a gasket on the inside. This one has 2, so I'll put one inside, one outside. Tighten this up. You see a little cross thread. Oh, that's fine. Alright. So now we have all 4 filters inside the bucket. And what you want to do, you want to make sure that all 4 of these holes line up with these holes here, and they do perfect, right? Now these 2 right here, you see this? I already had this done. These are the lids, the screw-on bottoms for the 10-inch filter cartridges that we have. As you can see, they screw right on, right? So now your water is going to drip out of your ceramic dome filter, and it's going to drip straight down into this cartridge, and easy on off. Okay, so 2 things you're going to want to do with this lid. You can try and scrape this cloth out, or you can just poke a couple holes. You're going to need 2 holes directly across from each other. And the other thing you're going to need is, if you see these, they have holes in there, and it doesn't really matter how big they are, as long as they're enough for the single drips from the dome filter to get through and fall through into this. So I'm just going to take my little step filter here, my step drill bit, which is the most handy I have right now. And I'm just going to see, that should be more than enough. I mean, you can make it a little bigger if you want to. Okay, so as you can see here, I zip tied these covers. Make sure you do it to the bottom of the lid. So this is going to be sitting on top of the bottom bucket. So you want the lids going inside the bottom bucket. So as you can see, I have 4 holes in this, and I already cleared that cloth out of there. And what you want to do, you want to be really careful that you line your drip hole that you made in the last step up with the hole in the lid best you can. Then you kind of want to mark the 4 holes you made in the lid to the cartridge to the bottom of the lid to the bucket. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 holes pretty much centered with that hole. Then you want to take your drill, make holes, you know, just about the right size for the zip ties to go through. Like I said, this doesn't have to be perfect, because as long as the water can drip through the ceramic dome and into this and drain out, then you're good to go. So you line up all your holes, you put the lid on there. Now this, when you do a zip tie, I screwed this up, so I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, you always want to put the zip tie in the flat spot on the side and have it come out the part that's kind of raised right there. So once you get your 4 holes drilled, you want to make sure you get your thing in place, the lid to the cartridge in place, and you want to take your zip tie, making sure it's properly on there. So you want to start out in, you want to go in the top, because you want the nubs on the top of the bucket. And then you want to set it up so you make sure you're going into the flat side of the zip tie. Put it in the first side, put the thing in there, down through the lid, through the bucket lid, up, through the zip tie, through the flat end, pull it tight, cut it off, flush, repeat on the other side. Down through, back up, and through the flat side, out that side, tighten it up, snip it off nice and flush. I haven't mentioned yet, but they come in clear and white. I kind of prefer the clear, but I got the white ones for $2 a piece cheaper, so I went with white this time. It doesn't really matter once they're inside the bucket. But now that you get your lid zip tied on, you can see how this is happening now, alright? You get 4 of these on, then you're going to have 4 of these on here. It's not there yet. You're going to put your lid with your 4 cartridges on top. So this is the bottom bucket. The water is going to go into the top bucket. It's going to very slowly filter through here. So each one of these cartridges, this is the important part. Each one of these cartridges is going to have a very slow drip, like drip, drip, and drip every 1 or 2 seconds. And you want the water to drip slowly through. You want the water to drip slowly through the. There, that's lined up. Okay, you want the water to drip slowly through the ceramic dome cartridges, and you want it to, as you see when I'm going to show you how to set up the cartridges, it's going to drip through it's going to drip through a carbon chamber, just in case there's any ammonia or anything like that left in the water, or I mean any chlorine or anything like that left in the water. And it's going to filter slowly through the sphagnum moss. Okay, so as you can see, I got my 4 lids zip tied onto the bottom of the lid to the bottom bucket. So this sets inside like this. You take your 4 empty refillable media cartridge, 10-inch standard size cartridges, and screw them on this, and I'll show you how the whole thing goes together. So far, I mixed up the colors, but that doesn't really matter. So you get your 4 filter cartridges on here. They set on top. Then you got your top bucket that has the 4 ceramic domes inside. And now you just got to line up the holes. Actually, it's a lot easier with 2 holes. Let's see. Right there. Line up your 4 holes. You know, it doesn't have to be, the water will hold it down, but as long as the nubs to the ceramic filters are going down in the holes, so that I can drip down into the cartridges and out the bottom of the cartridges. So that's what we have so far. The next thing you're going to have to worry about, these are actually DI filters, I believe, that go with an RO system. And they come in the top half of this with a plastic thing with a filter inside it. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but you really got to get rid of that. And these 3, I already got rid of it on there, and the easiest way is, hopefully you can put a screwdriver or something in there and you can just bang it a few times. This one I already have loose. And you can hopefully bang it out of there. Might take a little work. And so then you have a hole right in the bottom of it, which we'll show you in a second. I mean, you could probably leave these in here, and you could probably drill a hole through the bottom. But this is the reason I take these out. This gets all clogged up and it's useless, and you're better off just having a nice big hole on the bottom of the cartridge. So what am I forgetting? Oh yeah, the top cover, the top lid. We forgot the top lid. So put that there, and we're gonna put this back on here. No, we won't put it on. We'll just leave it over here for now. This is the top lid. Now, I didn't have a hole saw. I kind of winged it. This, I put my metal mesh coffee filter through the top of this lid. Then I go with a polishing pad, and I put my filter floss on top. And this is, because believe it or not, your tap water, you're going to catch some crap in your tap water, and you don't want to clog up your filters. You'll be cleaning the ceramic domes all the time. So this is just something I added to catch any extra crap from going down in the bucket. The way I did it, I kind of winged it. I put this on here and I drew a circle and I cut it out with a utility knife as best as I could. You can see it's a little rough. If you have a hole saw, you can probably get the perfect size for this. But anyways, this is not necessary. I mean, you can just take off the lid and throw it inside. It's just something extra I like to have on my filter. Yeah, so that's really pretty much it. There's your filter. Pour the water in the top through the mesh in the coffee filter. Fills up. You can throw about 4.5 gallons. It will fit in here at a time. Throw your 4 gallons of water in. It slowly seeps through the ceramic dome filters and into the cartridges. And I'll show you how I'm going to set up the cartridges. And maybe this is how I do it. It seems to work really well. But you know, then again, you can just maybe figure out your own way to do it because I'm not always the smartest. Okay, we're back, and you can see that I have a box because this gets messy, and this just kind of helps a little bit with the mess. I have some sphagnum moss. I'm not sure if I have enough left for all 4 cartridges, but I'll set one up the way I like to set them up. What I have been doing, and it's been working fairly well, but this is what I'm changing. I've been just putting a filter polishing pad down the bottom. I usually have a screwdriver, I push it down there. But anyways, I put a filter polishing pad down the bottom. Then I've been taking one of these mesh bags. I've been filling it up, and you gotta pack it tight because like I said, not only do you want the slow drip, but you want it to have a lot of contact time with that sphagnum, so you pack it in so it runs really through and soaks through the sphagnum moss. The problem I've been having with this, and I'm gonna try it without it. This is why I got the filters. It's a little bit hard to fill them, but the big problem is when they're used up and you got to empty them out, you got to try and shake the stuff out. It's a mess. It gets all over the place. You get soggy sphagnum moss and muddy crap all over the place. So I'm going to try and get rid of these. I'm going to try and add it directly into the filter, into the cartridges. And I was going to put either one layer of fine or coarse, or I haven't decided yet. One of each on top of the polishing pad, just to get a little extra filtration because the bag is not there. Okay, so for the purpose of this video, I think I'm just going to go with the fine sponge because my black Sharpie will show up really nice on it and not so much on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the bottom. I'm going to trace around the outside. Again, you know, you want to make it make the sponge a little bit larger than the inside of the cartridge because you want a nice snug fit. Well, it's not the best, but let's get going on this here. So I'm going to cut around the outside of the Sharpie line because again, I want a nice snug fit inside the filter. And you know, this is going to be my first try in it, and if it doesn't work out for me, I'll update the video. So here's what we're going to do. We got the first one cut, and remember, if you're just doing this with one filter, that's awesome, and you don't have a lot to do. I'm just doing one right now, but I'm going to have 4. So everything I'm doing right now, I'm pushing it down with a... Everything I'm doing right now, I'm going to repeat 4 times, but I'm not going to do them all on the video. It's a little bit tough getting, there we go. So we got the polishing pad, and we got the filter on the bottom. Now, I'm just going to take my sphagnum moss and fill it right up to about, maybe do about here. We don't want to totally fill it because we're going to add carbon, and we want to leave some room for the carbon. Oh, it's a lot easier filling it, I'll tell you that right now. Shoving it in that sleeve was a pain in the ass. Alright, so we got it. It's pretty tight. Step 2, after you get your sphagnum moss in here, your polishing pad and your sponge and your sphagnum moss, next thing you want to do is you want to take your knee highs with the comfort top, and at the foundation, this is the easiest way I've found to do this. You know, this is got a little water in it because I've been using it in my fish room, you know what I mean? But what you want to do is you want to take a cup and you want to in this case, just about fill it up. And if that's not enough, you can add some more. But then you can take your knee high, put it over the top of the cup, empty out the carbon into the knee high. There we go. Let me see how much we got there. Oh, that's all right. Maybe you could use a little more. Let's see. Now, as always with carbon, you're going to want to make how many of these as you are doing with your filter. I'm doing 4, so I'm going to have to do 4 of these. But you don't need four knee highs here. Make your little ball, tie a knot in the top. Pull it tight, get your scissors, snip it off right at the top of the knot. Tie a knot in the bottom. There you go. Now you refill your cup. Put it in your knee highs. Again, maybe a little bit more. You never have too much carbon. Now the next thing you're going to want to do, however many, 2, 4, however many of these you made, you're going to want to take them to your sink, and you're going to want to rinse the crap out of them, because you want to try and get as much of the black stuff out as you can, as much of the dust out of the carbon as you can. So trim this off. I already had 2 of them made, so now as you can see, I have 4 carbon balls. Now, that this pack's pretty snug in there, you take one of your new carbon balls, put it in the top, push it down, get that sphagnum a little bit tighter, leave a little bit of room in there for the top. Then you take your oh, looks like udders, doesn't it? Utterly ridiculous. You take the thing and you screw it on to your lids. Yeah. Repeat 4 times, and there you go. A Sphagnum Moss Filter. Well, that's it. I hope we helped you out. Next time, we'll talk about how you might use your newly created water, cleaning and maintenance on the filter, and maybe even do some testing. For more wicked smart ideas, please subscribe, like this video, and hit the notification button. Thank you, and see you next time.